I know that a lot of people think that they know a lot about basketball, and they know like they think they know like everything about basketball and everything that's important about it, but they don't like really understand the game or anything, or the importance of it. And I'm going to talk to you about like how to shoot a free throw, which is one of the most important parts of the game. It can either win or lose you a game, or it can win or lose you prizes and stuff in the competitions and stuff too, which can earn you a lot of money as well. And I'm going to talk about 3 parts to free throw. And the first part is the correct form that it takes to shoot a free throw well or shoot at a high percentage. The second is the confidence that it takes, or the mindset that you should have when you're shooting a free throw. And the last is the history of it, just like where it originated, how it started, and how it's evolved to what it is today. Those are the 3 things I'm going to talk about. And so the first is the confidence or the form of the free throw. And in the form of the free throw, you want to make sure that you keep your elbow like straight. You don't want your elbow out here, because if it's out here, it won't give you a good shot. If it's in here, it'll be straight up, and you want to flick your wrist when you get to the top. You want to flick your wrist and make sure that you hold it and until it goes to the basket, and you want to make sure that your feet are about shoulder width apart or a little closer. I like them a little closer, but about shoulder width apart. And then you want to bend your knees, like not like squat all the way down, but just bend them like a little bit, and then come up and shoot it and hold the fall throw until it goes to the basket. Like, it's Ray Allen. He's one of the best free throw shooters of all time. So obviously that's pretty good form, and he knows what he's doing. So if you want to learn, just copy his form. That's what I try and do. But I'm not a very good free throw shooter, so don't. Tips for me. The second part is, well, now that I've talked about the form, I'm going to talk about the confidence and the mindset that it takes when you go up there that you're going to make it, and know that every time it has a good shot at going through the net. And a lot of people say the form's the best part, but I feel like the confidence is the best part, because if you know that you're going to make it, and you know that the chances of you making it are way better than if you go up there and you don't think you're going to make it, then that your chances are just way better. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the history of it. But first, this is Dwight Howard. He is not a good free throw shooter, and they interviewed him, and he says that the most of his problems with shooting a free throw is he has 3 hired coaches that work with him during practices, and he'll shoot well in practice and shoot about 80% in practice, he says, which is pretty good. And then when he gets to a game, he says that he just has no confidence because he's never been a good free throw shooter. And a fun fact about him is when he was 10 years old, he was actually the shortest kid on his team, and he grew, I think it was 10 inches. No, I don't know. He grew a lot in 1 year. He grew from like tiny to really tall. Anyway, that's him. And that's Shaquille O'Neal. He's also one of the worst shooters. And he said that, yeah, you can see that his elbow's out. Not a good shooter. And the ball's over his head. He went it to the side. So that's not very good for him either. So those are the 2 not good examples of how to do it. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the history of the free throw. And the history of the free throw is, it actually wasn't in the original, there were 13 original rules of basketball, and it wasn't in the first 13 rules. It wasn't added until 5 years later. And the inventor of basketball, James Naismith, didn't add it in because he invented it just for like a gym game. It was just a gym game, basketball was. And I don't know who added it in as a rule, but it was added in like 5 years later, which was like over 115 years ago. And when they first added the rule in, you got to choose who shot the free throw, and they only shot one free throw no matter like if you were shooting, because they only had like one point at that time. So, and then about 15 years later, I think it was, they made the rule that you can't choose anybody, that the person who got fouled has to shoot their own free throw. Like, you can't choose, like if I got fouled, he couldn't shoot my free throw. If he was better, I had to shoot my own. And then that rule has stood forever since, but in 1954, the 1-and-1 was invented. That's if a team gets 7 fouls, then they shoot one free throw, and if they make it, they get another one, and if they miss it, it's live, and you don't get another one. But that's the history of it. And so, I've talked about the form and the confidence and the history of the free throw, and that's all I have to talk about. Thank you for listening.